Hello everyone. This is just a quick, I shouldn't be that positive really. This is the video that would have been a podcast episode, but I didn't feel it fit. We're talking about the WWE releases. And I will say, if you want to hear my thoughts, just keep watching. If you want to hear specifically Harpo's thoughts, I'll have a timestamp in the description. I'll put his after mine. Just because I'm, doing the intro. I'm gonna go through everybody released. I'll start off with the superstars. Every superstar that was released: Drake Maverick, Kurt Hawkins, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Heath Slater, Aiden English, Eric Young, EC3, Leo Rush, Kurt Angle, Sarah Logan, Mike Chioda, Primo, Epico, Rowan, Mike and Maria Kanellis, Zack Ryder, No Way Jose, Rusev, Deonna Purrazzo, and Alexander Jaksic. I don't know how to say his last name. There's some shockers on this list. Somebody like EC3, I'll be honest, that's even if the Corona probably wasn't happening, they'd probably release him at some point. There's some shockers on here, like Kurt Angle. That's kind of a weird one. Mike Chioda, who was a referee for like 30 years for the WWE, wasn't even a furlough. He just straight up got released. Kurt Hawkins is kind of a shocker. Anderson and Gallows is two big shockers. Maverick's still competing in NXT's like cruiserweight tournament, but he's gone. Zack Ryder, who's been there for over a decade, was released. Russo was released. He's been there like a decade. Like, yeah, there are some shockers on this list that I am really shocked. I guess they just saw that they weren't needed in the company, and they were the ones they decided to release. Leo Rush is somebody that isn't too much of a shocker because he's had runs in the past of backstage heat, but at the same time, it's still insane that Leo is gone from WWE. There are some shocking names on here, there really are, and it's a terrible thing because WWE had $500 million in reserve for a situation like this. And that's not all. We'll go through everyone else now. NXT announcer Jace Sato was also, he was placed on furlough leave, which, if you don't know, they're not necessarily fired, they're just laid off without pay, pretty much. So it's actually what a lot of non-essential workers are in right now if they didn't get full-on fired. I'm on what you would call, I guess, a furlough release, technically, for my job. I still have the job, but we're not working right now because we're closed down. I work at a local business. Pops P3 is the meme name. And we're closed down. I'm still a worker. It's just we're not getting paid right now. We're not working. There's 9 backstage producers also put on furlough, and some were fired. But the ones that were straight up fired, I believe these are the ones that were fired. David Finley, Lance Storm, Mike Rotunda, Shane Helms, Scott Armstrong, Pat Buck, Sarah Stock, Sean Navarre, and Billy Kidman, I believe, were the ones who were actually fired. I'm not 100% sure. This is the one I'm not 100% sure on. I believe they might have been put on furlough. Either way, it's still terrible because they're not making money right now. I know 3 performance center coaches. I'm getting a lot of this from Coldaholic.com. That's the one I've used. Obviously, Coldaholic great. Check out their website and their channel, of course. 3 performance center coaches have been put on furlough: Ace Steel, Serena Deeb, and Kendo Kashin. Not exactly sure how to say his name. And Andrea Listenberger, I believe that's her. I assume, or Andrea. I don't know why I said Andrea first. Andrea, probably. The person who wrote Otis and Mandy's storyline essentially got full-on released, which sucks. And from what we've been hearing, I believe there'll still be a couple more NXT releases, because as of now, there's only been like 2. So this is just a terrible time for something like this, and a terrible thing to really do. They have the money to pay these people, but to increase their bottom line, they're going to let them go. It's going to boost the indies whenever things are a bit more normal, when indie shows can happen once again. Well, this talent, I mean, I'm sure Gallows and Anderson will go back to New Japan, probably. Someone like EC3, I could see heading back to Impact, or maybe AEW's the one that everybody always says, but I don't want them to become the modern day TNA. I could see him going to either. Impact would make a lot of sense because he had a great run there before. Rush could obviously do his thing in the indies. Maybe ROH, I don't know. Maybe he goes to AEW. Angle's retired, so he'll probably just do his own thing. Sarah Logan, she was pretty prominent from what I understand before she signed with WWE, so she should be fine. Mike Chioda, if he continues to referee on the indies, he'll most likely get picked up by AEW, I'm not gonna lie. Mike Chioda would be a great referee to have on AEW. Primo and Epoco, I don't know. Rowan, maybe AEW, and only for the reason that he could maybe want to work with Harper. Maybe not. Maybe he goes something else. Micah Maria, I could see heading back to Impact or New Japan. Zack Ryder, maybe keep with his podcast. I'm sure he'll wrestle on these. I don't know if he'd sign any major company, though. No Way Jose, I got no idea. Rusev, I got no idea. He could do anything, really. Deonna Purrazzo could probably shine anywhere, honestly. Alexander Jaksic, I don't know too much about him. I'm not going to lie and say he's going to go to AEW or something. I don't know. So, that's everything that I just want to talk about. I'll play Harpo's thoughts he's recorded for this video, and just say it now, like, comment, subscribe. And if you wanted a much more upbeat video, we already uploaded a story time earlier today. Check it out. Or if you want to watch a Siege Strike video, we uploaded one yesterday. And that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna pass it over to Harpo and then get on out of here.
Okay, now that we're on the other side of was probably one of the darkest days in wrestling history, where around 30 plus big names were released from WWE. I guess I should give my thoughts on it. It kind of came out as a shock because I remember I was just scrolling through Twitter and it was just right there, and I just kept following it, and you started getting the superstars' responses. Like Drake Maverick had a response that was really heartbreaking to watch, and you really feel for him and you could feel his pain that he must have got when he got a text message. It wasn't they didn't call them. No, they had a meeting, about a 5-minute meeting, where they're like, oh yeah, your future standing in the company is going to be texted to you. And he was texted that he was being let go, and that has to be heartbreaking, especially during a time like this. And especially right after they had that press release that said that they had $500 million stocked up just for situations like this. It's a terrible, terrible thing that have happened, and the stars that they did release, it's just an odd combination. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, that was a really odd release. Kurt Angle, Shane Helms, Finlay was released. Drake Maverick, as I said earlier, Rusev was released, which is really just tragic. Heath Slater was released. The only silver lining there is, he can maybe complete the 3MB prophecy, because, Jinder Mahal was released, and he came back, won the WWE title. Drew McIntyre was released, came back, won the WWE title. So maybe Heath Slater will come back a couple years, win the title, complete the prophecy. That's the only silver lining we have. Some of these other stars will easily find homes once this is all over, but nowhere's hiring right now. There's no independent scene to speak of. Most other companies are done, if they're even doing anything, have a pre-record. They're done filming for months now. It's just a really tragic moment in wrestling history, and if you can find a way to support these stars that just got released, do it. And if you really just don't agree with WWE for how they did this and who they released, instead of going on the Twitter and asking for other people to be released, which is a terrible thing. Imagine you had your livelihood be taken away from you because people on Twitter are like, oh yeah, release this dude. No, that's terrible. It doesn't matter if you don't like the character or don't like the person as a person. During this time, we shouldn't be asking for anything like that. We should be supporting each other. But, people can't do that. But if you can find a way to support these people, that'd be great. Some of these people are actually trying to support other people. Like Rusev gave 25,000 of his own money to, help other WWE employees get money so that they can, have money during this terrible time in humanity's history. So if you, can find a way to support any of them, I'd suggest doing it. Definitely, if you're religious, keep them in your prayers. Keep anyone in your prayers that lost their jobs, and just a terrible, terrible time in wrestling and humanity's history.